Hey everybody, I'm Fabian Calvo, Fabian for Liberty. Thank you so much for tuning in, Trudgers of Truth. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 2016 presidential race, the primaries that have taken place in Iowa and New Hampshire, and moving forward, what's going to happen for both Democrats and Republicans. I want to remind everyone, however, that every Wednesday, I host a webinar at 4 p.m. Pacific time. The link to register is down below. This week, that webinar will fall on a Thursday, so it will not be today. It's actually going to be tomorrow at 4 p.m. Register down below. It's free, all about real estate investing. Thousands of people have listened to it, and they've loved it. So, all right, so yesterday we had the New Hampshire primary. For those of you that do not know, New Hampshire is a very quasi-liberal Republican state, if you will. Record turnouts for both Democrats and for Republicans, record turnouts for Bernie Sanders. I want to start with him. So Bernie Sanders, no doubt, is a revolutionary. He's not taking, although his campaign is fueled by many unions, he is not taking political contributions from Wall Street or, for that matter, the pharmaceutical industry or big banks. And he does not have a super PAC. And there are a lot of things, actually, that I like about Bernie Sanders. You know, I've been watching and reading some recent comments Ron Paul has made, and I'm a big Ron Paul supporter, really believe in his ideology and his brand of libertarianism. And Ron Paul has eloquently spoken about how a lot of his positions are echoed by someone like Bernie Sanders when it comes to his position on the war machine, when it comes to his position on big banks and the crony capitalism, the campaign finance laws that allow billionaires to, in essence, buy elections. And those are all things that resonate. They're all things that I absolutely support. Where I depart with someone like Bernie Sanders is he has no specifics when it comes to how is he going to pay for record entitlements? How is he going to pay for free healthcare, free education, universal, basically a single-payer healthcare system? He says it's via a tax on speculators. But what's a speculator? Is a speculator someone who's in the middle class that may make $70,000 a year, that makes maybe $20,000 of that income by trading options? Is that a speculator? Someone who's taught themselves how to, do covered calls or do puts or options? Are they a speculator? Are their taxes going to be increased? And for those making over $250,000 a year, he gives absolutely no indication of what their top tax bracket is going to be. So I don't think his campaign is about platitudes. He's a populist. A lot of the things, like I said, I agree with. I'd say probably about 15 to 20% I agree with. But here's what I like about Bernie Sanders is that he is not afraid to tell you who he is. He is a democratic socialist. He is someone who believes in a European socialist style of governance for the United States. Furthermore, he is somebody who has addressed, I believe, as I mentioned a few days ago, one of the biggest issues of our time, quite frankly, could be the biggest issue of the 21st century, which is the fraud on Wall Street and the big banks that have wrecked the middle class, have destroyed wages, shipped jobs overseas, and are responsible, in my opinion, for the slow grind down of the U.S. economy overall. And when I say big banks, I throw in, of course, the Federal Reserve, which I'd like to hear him speak more about. I throw in the Federal Reserve because the big banks own the Federal Reserve. So, I think it's going to be interesting. I think, yesterday he won basically in every single demographic of voters except 65 and older. You see Bill Clinton on stage next to Hillary. He looks all depressed and worried. And, is that something that he's going to be able to build that momentum into South Carolina, Super Tuesday, into Nevada? We will see. But certainly Clinton is the worst of the worst. I would take Bernie Sanders almost over a lot of the Republicans that are running. But let's talk about the Republicans now. Again, I'm a libertarian. I'm somebody who believes in peace and I believe in prosperity. I believe in free markets. I believe in equal rights under the law. I believe in the Bill of Rights. And when I look at the Republican field, there's a lot of people that watch these videos that are ardent Trump supporters. They love Donald Trump. And I've been doing a lot of research, and I go back to his record. I mean, he's on record, ladies and gentlemen, and just like the last couple of years, the last 5 years, he's on record talking about being for partial birth abortion. He's on record talking about he supports a ban on assault weapons. He's on record, like 6 months ago, talking about how he supports a universal healthcare system. It's like, hello, like what else? Those are like major issues, I thought, that libertarians and the majority of people that watch this channel believe. Now, do I like some of his positions on immigration? I do. What about his position on war? I mean, you know, I am very, very careful about when I think about who I'm going to support. Remember, this person has the nuke codes. They have one of the largest, most powerful, or certainly most powerful militaries in the world. He talks about, well, we're going to beat ISIS. We're going to destroy them. Well, what exactly does that mean? I mean, I don't expect you to reveal the plans of how you're going to do it, but it's all just these like almost illusions of grandeur, projections that he's coming up with again, no concrete evidence. And this, of course, when it comes to Bernie Sanders, when it comes to Donald Trump, unfortunately, that's what wins elections, because that's what Obama did. Obama didn't really talk policy. In fact, most of the policy issues that he talked about, you know, you got to give him credit, did come to fruition, but with no real concrete plans. Like he would always say, if you have your doctor, you like your doctor, you could keep it. Here comes Obamacare, proves to be not true. The rest of the Republican field, look, the establishment is in dire straits, the Republican establishment, something I love to see. I despise the Republican Party. I despise the two-party system in general. But when it comes to the Republicans, I'll tell you, it's going to be Marco Rubio or Jeb Bush. Certainly John Kasich doesn't have the infrastructure to move forward. And as you see people like Kasich or Chris Christie drop out of the race, those votes will likely go to an establishment guy like a Jeb Bush or like a Rubio, who's the worst of the worst. Going back to Bernie Sanders, I actually believe what Bernie Sanders says. I take him at his word. Marco Rubio is a political chameleon that will say anything at all to get elected. And in some ways, Donald Trump has proven to do the same thing. He'll say anything to get elected as well. Ted Cruz has said some things to get elected as well. I think Cruz coming in third place in New Hampshire yesterday was a big deal. Again, New Hampshire being more of a liberal type state. So we will see in South Carolina, Trump is up in the polls big evangelical hotspot. We'll see what's going to happen as the race tightens and becomes more consolidated. But here's the last point I want to make. When it comes to a candidacy of someone like Ted Cruz or someone like Bernie Sanders, I believe the establishment is scared to death of these two candidates. The banking system is scared to death of these two candidates. Maybe not so much Ted Cruz. His wife works at Goldman Sachs. He's gotten loans from Goldman Sachs. But certainly of Bernie Sanders, they're freaked out. They want an establishment person to be elected. They want politics as usual. This is why they're supporting Hillary Clinton. And, you know, again, politics, ladies and gentlemen, is intertwined. It dovetails right into economics. The reason I continue to say we will not see, in my opinion, I believe, an economic collapse or a huge implosion of the financial market this year or until the very end of the year is because the big banks, the fraudulent banksters, the Federal Reserve, and quite frankly, central banks around the world are in the bag for Hillary Clinton. And they know that if the economy tanks, so does her campaign will tank as well. I'm Fabian Calvo, Fabian for Liberty. You could always email me, fabian@fabiancalvo.me. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Again, remember the usual real estate investing webinars on Wednesday are this week only going to be Thursday. Registration link is down below. Look forward to hearing from you, talking with you on that webinar and the Q&A. Thanks for watching. I'm out.